The wisest person I've ever met in my life was a third grade dropout. Now, wise and dropout is rather oxymoronic, like jumbo shrimp, like fun run. Ain't nothing fun about it. Like Microsoft Works. Are y'all listening to me? I used to say like country music, but I've lived in Texas so long that I love country music. I hunt, I fish, and I love my cowboy boots. Y'all, I'm a blackneck redneck. Do you hear what I'm saying though? No longer is it oxymoronic for me to say country music, and it's not oxymoronic for me to say third grade and dropout. That third grade dropout was the wisest person I've ever met in my life. He taught me to combine knowledge and wisdom to make an impact. And that person was my father. A simple cook who left school in the third grade to help out on the family farm. But just because he left school does not mean that his education ever stopped. Mark Twain once said, "I've never allowed my schooling to get in the way of my education." And so my father taught himself how to read and taught himself how to write. He also decided in the midst of Jim Crowism, as America was breathing its last gasp of the Civil War, he decided that he was going to stand and be a man. Not a black man, not a brown man, not a white man, but a man. He literally challenged himself every day to be the best that he could be all the days of his life. I have 4 degrees. My brother is a judge, and we're not the smartest ones in our family. It's a third grade dropout daddy who's quoting Michelangelo saying to us, "Boys, I don't have a problem if you aim high and miss, but I'm going to have a real issue if you aim low and hit." A country mother quoting Henry Ford saying, "If you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." I learned that from a third grade dropout. Simple lessons. Lessons like, "Son, you'd rather be an hour early than a minute late." We never knew what time it was at my house because the clocks were always fast. My mother said for nearly 30 years that my father got up at 3:45 in the morning. One day she asked him, "Why, Daddy?" And he said, "Maybe one of my boys will catch me in the act of excellence." I want to share 2 things with you. Aristotle said, "You are what you repeatedly do." Therefore, excellence ought to be a habit, not an act. Don't ever forget that. I know that you're tough, but always remember to be kind. Always. Don't ever forget that. Also, never embarrass mama. If mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy. If daddy ain't happy, ain't nobody care. Next lesson. A lesson from a cook over there in the galley. "Son, make sure your servant's towel is bigger than your ego." Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity. Now, y'all might have a relative in mind that you want to send that to, so I'll say it again. Ego is the anesthesia that deadens the pain of stupidity, and pride is the burden of a foolish man. John Wooden coached basketball at UCLA for a living, but his calling was to impact people. With all those national championships, guess what he was doing found in the middle of the week? Going into the cupboard and grabbing a broom and sweeping his own gym floor. You want to make an impact? Find your broom. Every day of your life, find your broom. You'll grow your influence that way. And that way, you're attracting people so that you can influence them. Final lesson. Son, if you're going to do a job, do it right. I've always been told how average I am. Always being criticized for being average. But I want to tell you something. I stand here before you, before all of you, not listening to those words, but telling myself every day to shoot for the stars and to be the best that I can be every day of my life. Good enough isn't good enough if it can be better, and better isn't good enough if it can be best.